Ever find yourself, scrolling through an app and thinking, man, this is well designed, or maybe like walking past a coffee shop and that logo just pulls you in?
Happens all the time, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
And it just goes to show design is everywhere. It really shapes how we experience, well, everything. And for our listeners out there, especially those thinking about starting their own business, understanding good design, well, that's crucial.
It really is, because it's way more than just making things look pretty, right? It's about communicating what your brand is all about, connecting with people on that deeper level, and that's what we're digging into today.
Exactly. So we're taking a deep dive into timeless design.
A Dutch design company, and they're doing some really interesting things.
Right. And what caught my eye right off the bat was their focus on like really partnering with clients.
Yeah, it's not just churning out logos. They're invested in their client's success, which, let's be honest, can be rare in the design world sometimes.
For sure. And the founder, Frank Vanderheiden, he's been in the game for over 16 years. He's worked with both startups and, businesses that are already up and running. So he gets it. He understands the challenges of building a brand from the ground up.
He's seen it all. And he doesn't just stop at logos either. Websites, branding, he even does print and digital marketing. The whole shebang.
It's like he's fluent in design, OB business, which I think is so valuable because those two worlds don't always speak the same language.
You don't, and that's something a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with.
Totally. And speaking of understanding the client's perspective, his blog, So What's Happening? Just the name, I love it. But the titles, man, they're spot on. What is a QR code and how does a QR code work?
So relevant.
Right, or like logo designer versus AI, artificial intelligence.
Right.
He's not shying away from the big questions.
Not at all. Even how much work does it take to make a logo design? He's addressing those questions head on, which I think builds a lot of trust.
Transparency is key.
Absolutely. By being open about the process, about AI's role, it's like he's educating potential clients, giving them the tools to understand and engage in the design process more effectively.
And it's that kind of transparency that really comes through in the client testimonials. Like, he's got this one from Kasten Bookhorst, and Kasten was just blown away by how collaborative Frank was, saying it felt like a real partnership, not just like a business transaction.
That's huge, though, right? I mean, to feel like your designer really gets you, that's essential when you're trying to turn an idea into, like, a visual thing.
It's like trying to explain a dream,
Yeah.
And then Anita Honderkin, another client, she was all about the modern, clean style of his work, which, let's be real, that's so important these days when everyone's vying for attention online.
Oh, absolutely. Clarity, that's key in design. If your message gets lost in a busy design, what's the point? It seems like Frank's really nailed that balance, making things that are visually interesting but also super easy to understand.
Yeah, like that perfect blend of creativity and, like you said, clarity. And speaking of getting it, this other testimonial, Caroline Bouge, she needed help kind of shaping her vision, turning it into something real. And she was just praising Frank's ability to like really understand her and deliver a design that clicked.
That actually reminds me of something Frank says on his website. He talked about aiming for pride, not just satisfaction. Like, he wants his clients to be over the moon with the final product.
To feel like, wow, that's exactly what I wanted, even if I couldn't articulate it. And that's where a deep understanding of branding comes in, I think. It's more than just making a pretty picture.
Right, right. It's about understanding the whole picture, who they are, their values, what makes them different, creating a visual identity, like you said, that really connects on an emotional level.
Totally. And it's clear Frank is all about that challenge. He even says on his website, I learn something new every day. You have to stay sharp and innovative. And that really struck me.
Yeah, you can tell he's not just resting on his laurels. It shows a real dedication to constantly growing and evolving as a designer, especially in a field that changes so rapidly.
It's inspiring, It makes you want to step up your own game.
Right. Like, Frank wouldn't want us to just pat him on the back and call it a day. He wants us to take this energy and look at our own brands, our own messages, and be like, all right, how can we make this even better?
Totally. And that's what I love about this deep dive. Even if you're not knocking on a designer's door this very second, just checking out a site like Timeless Design, it gets those creative wheels turning. What was your biggest takeaway?
Honestly, seeing how he brings together that technical design skill with really clear communication. Is one thing to know your stuff, but to be able to explain it, even those trickier concepts like AI, in a way that's like, oh, okay, I get it, without feeling talked down to.
For sure. It makes you feel empowered, like you can actually be a part of that design process.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because good design is a two-way street, right?
Yeah.
It's like finding a designer who doesn't just take your ideas and run with them, but someone who helps you really shape them, challenge them even. And ultimately remembering your brand is more than just a logo or a website. It's that feeling that people get when they come across anything you do.
It's everything.
Exactly.
So to everyone listening, whether you're like a seasoned pro or just starting to think about your own business, I think Frank's approach has a lot to teach us. It's like, don't just follow the crowd, you know? Focus on telling your own unique story.
100%. Think about it. What makes you stand out? What are those core values that drive you?
Right.
Because when you know that, it's like that's when you can really nail down a design that reflects who you are.
And that's what it's all about, right? So go check out Timeless Design, get inspired, and let it spark something in your own journey because you never know. It might be the push you need to take your brand to that next level.